My name is Jamie Hepburn. I am an alumni of the University of Glasgow. Studied there and graduated over 25 years ago, which seems quite incredible looking back now. And I'm presently, and have been for the last 18 years, a member of Scottish Parliament representing the Cumbernauld and Kilsyth constituency.
Very nice. So you done an undergrad politics and history degree at Glasgow. What drew you to study there and that course specifically? And are there any aspects of uni that have been the most influential in shaping kind of your interest in politics and the work you do today?
So I actually applied to university quite late in the day. I think it was in my sixth year at school. Hadn't quite worked out what I was going to do. Um, and it was spoke to a careers advisor who advised me that I had the grades probably to be able to apply to university. And um, thought about it and decided that sounded like something I might quite enjoy, might quite like to
Mhm.
do. I grew up in Glasgow, and at that stage, I didn't have any plans or desire to leave my home city. So I basically applied to the four universities that were closest to home, and that was the University of Glasgow, Strathclyde, Caledonian, and University of Paisley, as it was at that stage. And in terms of the subject matter, I suppose that really just reflected what I was interested in at school. I was always quite interested in the social subjects. They were probably the ones that interested me the most. Politics, I was probably in my mid to later teens, started taking an interest in the wider world around me. Probably not thinking about it too deeply. I was probably still
Mhm.
more interested in football at that time when I was 15, 16. But I just was drawn to studying the world around us. Obviously, there's multiple things you could do to study that, but politics or modern studies, I suppose, as it was at
Mhm.
school, was something I was interested in.
Yeah.
And I'd long been interested in history. Even as a young child, I was quite interested in
Mhm.
history. History is really just about interesting
Yeah.
stories about, I enjoyed interesting stories, and
Mhm.
it explains how we got where we are.
Mhm.
And yeah, that was kind of what drew me to study those subjects.
Mhm.
And in terms of it being University of Glasgow, I mean, I'm delighted it ended up being the University of Glasgow, but it happened to be that I got acceptances from all four, and um, I probably opted for the University of Glasgow. Truth be told, it was closest to my home, so it was the easiest to get to and from. But I absolutely loved my time there, and in terms of what I drew from my experience and what it contributes to this day, obviously a lot of what I was doing and studying at the time
Mhm.
that brings a certain skill set in terms of being able to analyze information. But actually, I think the the biggest thing I learned, or the greatest experience I drew from it, was being able to interact with a wide range
Mhm.
of people from a wide range of backgrounds, different
Yeah.
places. And I learned a lot from that, and that's a useful thing to be able to,
Mhm.
to utilize in what I do today.
Thank you. Did you always know that you wanted to go into like front-facing politics?
Absolutely not. No. Going back to the answer I've just given in terms of when I was
Yeah.
young and sort of taking that interest in the world around me, I perceived and I still perceive that there are still things that we could do better in our society, things that are wrong in our society. I was certainly drawn to certain great themes and topics and matters that were of great concern to me. And I was not an entirely matured
Mhm.
understanding, but an emerging understanding of the world around me at that stage. And I was drawn to the idea that Scotland's future would be best served by being an independent country, largely from the experience of, my accumulated experience of growing up against the backdrop of a UK government that the people of Scotland didn't elect and were making decisions that I thought impacted really negatively on people in Scotland. And I didn't join the SNP until I went to university, largely because, this is the pre-internet age. I didn't really have any clue how to go about joining a political party.
Yeah.
I encountered them when I was at university.
Hmm.
Took the decision to join, gradually got more involved with absolutely no notion of seeking to stand and be a
Hmm.
candidate and far less be elected. I just really wanted to make a contribution, be involved, help campaign for the party. But as I got more involved, I kind of became more drawn into being involved at an upper level of the party, certainly in terms of the student wing and youth wing of
Hmm.
the SNP. And actually, it was suggested to me by others. A lot of my peers, people around the same age as me, people who had sort of come through the party.
Hmm.
Some of them were putting their names forward, and it was suggested to me maybe I should. So I did that. You have to be vetted by your party. Went through that process, and actually was approached by members in the Cumbernauld area to stand first of all as a um, candidate in a UK general election. I put my
Hmm.
name forward, and they were kind enough to select me, and the rest went from there. I've actually glossed over one part though. I did stand before I stood for Parliament. I did stand as a council candidate in
Hmm.
Glasgow in 2003, but that was largely in hope over expectation. We put up a fleet of candidates to make sure that there was an SNP presence on the ballot paper. So I was one of them. But in terms of doing it seriously and looking to
Hmm.
to stand for Parliament, the first time was in 2005 for the UK general election. Again, probably not with much expectation of being elected, but I was then asked again by members in Cumbernauld and Kilsyth to put my name forward for the 2007 Scottish Parliament election, and I was elected there. But that wasn't the grand plan. But that's how it's gone.
Very good. Were there any unexpected challenges you faced when transitioning from like a university student into political work?
Um, no, not really. I didn't go directly into it. I did have other. I suppose it's really sort of temporary work, not work that I was looking to do long term. Well, sorry, no, let me rephrase that. No, it can be a challenge getting into work after you graduate. Having a
Hmm.
degree certainly helps you, but it's not like you're going to automatically transition immediately into employment. Certainly, that wasn't my experience. So I suppose that was a more of a general challenge. But in terms of the day-to-day experience of becoming involved in the political process or more involved in
Hmm.
frontline politics. No, I wouldn't say there was any particular challenge
Hmm.
resulting out of the experience of transitioning from having been a student back in the day towards doing that. I mean, it is a challenging environment to work in.
Hmm.
Uh, Many challenging environments to work in, but politics happens to be one of them. But you kind of learn as you go.
Hmm.
So I wouldn't directly say it was a challenge of transition. It's just more that that's the nature of the role.
Yeah, fair enough. And then for students who are interested in public service, what skills do you think are essential to thrive in such a dynamic political environment?
Um, I think the main thing is probably to have an interest in people. At the
Hmm.
end of the day, the political process is geared around the wider public interest. A lot of the activity you will undertake is the direct role of representing people who might come forward to seek your assistance. So you have to be interested in people to be able to do that properly. Is that a skill set or just an attribute? That's a good question. Um, Maybe it's an attribute, but to go around it properly, you have to develop the skill set of being able to listen, to digest what people are saying, and then to think about how you're going to take forward their individual concerns. I suppose the other one point as well is you've got to have an analytical brain to a certain extent in
Yeah.
terms of taking an interest in wider subject matter, in terms of looking at the great issues that are affecting
Mhm.
the country. If you're lucky enough to actually be elected, then there's going to be a whole range and raft of activity that is going to require you to have that skill set. And I think that's something you draw from the university experience, probably against any subject matter,
Yeah.
but certainly in studying the arts, the humanities, social sciences,
Mhm.
that's a critical part of it.
Mhm. Do you have any advice or tips that you would give to students who want to pursue a career in politics but are maybe unsure where to begin?
Well, it's a good question. I mean, what I always say to folk is do it because you believe in something. Don't think, "Oh, I want to be involved in politics for the sake of being involved in
Hmm.
politics." It's something if you want to be involved in, then it should be on the basis of actually having a set of values and a belief system, and being able to want to contribute. So, that's the first thing.
Hmm.
Don't. I guess this reflects my own experience. I didn't get involved looking to be elected. So,
Yeah.
get involved in the process, and it might be that you find that you're in a position where you may want to be putting yourself forward as a candidate, or indeed, there are plenty of other roles involved in,
Hmm.
in politics that you can take up. I did this for a period as well. You can work for a parliamentarian
Hmm.
as well. So, do it because you actually believe in something, not just because you're just happen to be drawn to the
Yeah.
idea and the notion of politics.
And then, is there a piece of advice that you yourself received in early in your career or in university that has stayed with you?
There almost certainly is. I mean, maybe that's probably the answer I've just given in terms of
Hmm.
what the motivation
Hmm.
might be. Um, I think a general thing that I was told, though, I worked for a man called Alec Neil, who's a member of the Scottish Parliament, um, and I'm trying to think of the turn of phrase he used. He said, "If you treat people like pigs, they'll grunt," and that always stuck with me. What he meant by that is, you've got to treat people who you work with well because you'll get more out of them. So I've always sought to do that with people who I've worked with and who work with me. So maybe that's the abiding piece of advice. That's the one that comes to mind just now.
That's a good one. Um, do you have any key milestones from your career?
Um, I probably do. I don't really sort of sit and reflect on them too
Mhm.
much, to be honest with you. So, being asked the question, what would they be?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose being um, elected to the Scottish Parliament in 2007 was
Hmm.
obviously a critical one. I was elected as a regional MSP at that stage, so as much as I said, I was asked by members in Cumbernauld and Kilsyth to stand for that constituency. I didn't actually win the constituency contest in 2007. I was elected as a regional
Hmm.
MSP. After 4 years at the 2011 election, I was then elected as the constituency member of Scottish Parliament for Cumbernauld and South. So there's your next milestone, maybe. Um, and then, I was lucky enough to be able to. I'm not in government at the moment, but I was in government for a long time, so I was appointed to ministerial office in November 2014. So there's another milestone.
From your experience with uni and getting involved with the SNP party so early on, would you recommend for students who feel passionate about an issue or have a cause to get involved with a party that they believe in this stage of their life in university?
I would. I certainly would. I mean, actually, I would go more. I'd go wider than that. It
Hmm.
doesn't necessarily have to be through the prism of party politics. If you're
Hmm.
passionate about certain causes and certain issues, there are other ways to be
Yeah.
involved in campaigning organisations. But I certainly would encourage people to be involved in the political process and
Hmm.
to join a political party, especially the Scottish National Party if they happen to believe in independence. But more widely than that, if you believe in something, go out there and try and be involved in making it happen. The way I look at it is you can look at the world, you can analyze it, and you can say, well, here's how we can make it a better place, and we can
Mhm.
hopefully let other people get on with it, or you can actually try and be involved in it. I think you better try and be involved in it.